Today, I want to talk to you guys about honoring yourselves and your connection to God or the divine, whatever name you'd like to use for your connection to source energy, to God. Um, my journey, my own connection, my own true connection with God, conscious connection with God, began many, many years ago when I was a teenager. And I came from a Catholic background. My family was Catholic, and so I was raised to be Catholic. I went to catechism or Catholic school and did that every Sunday, went to church every Sunday. And I had such a yearning for answers and information that would help me to understand God, the universe, ourselves, why we were here. And I never found the information in the church or in the text helpful enough for me. Now, maybe it was because at that age or when I was younger, I didn't pay as much attention to the stories. As now, as an adult, there are a lot of interesting stories in like the Bible and other religious texts that are very, very informative. They're um, very much telling about our connection to the divine and our way of finding God in all that we experience in life. But it was never enough for me. And I used to question everything. I used to always wonder and question everything just because, I mean, as a young person, you have a curiosity about things and you want to know, you wonder. Everything has to have an answer. There has to be an answer for everything. And I was taught, I came from family and people who taught that you don't question anything. You follow the teachings of God or of Christ. You follow those teachings and you don't question anything. You just follow and move forward with it. And you weren't supposed to know all the answers. You're not supposed to have all the answers. You're not supposed to understand everything. You're just supposed to follow the guidelines set forth before us, and that's it. You know, you live a good life, you follow the teachings of Christ, and then you die and go to heaven. That was it. And if you didn't, you go to hell. And for me, that just never sat well. That never sat right with me. Growing up in a very Catholic, in the Catholic faith and following the church, and it never sat well with me that that was the only answer, that was it, that was all that there was. And I think my first real eye-opening experience or spiritual experience was when I started to realize that I was different, and that I didn't exactly match up to everybody else. And even as a child, I used to have experiences where I was attracted to men. And as I got older, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if that was normal. I didn't feel normal. I felt different. I didn't act like the other little boys. I didn't connect with the other little boys. I mean, I remember in school, I always preferred to sit with the girls because I felt more comfortable around girls. And even then, I wasn't always accepted or embraced either because I wasn't a girl. I was not a physical girl, so female. So I wasn't always accepted in with those groups either. But I still sat with women because I was raised by women. I was more comfortable around women, and having the experiences as a child that I had with men. I was more fearful of males and men in general. So growing up around other little boys, I didn't feel like I connected with them. I was never really into sports. I was never really interested in doing some of the things that the boys were doing. So I felt different. I felt like I didn't fit in. And I was trying to understand that. And I actually had no concept of what the word gay meant. I had no concept of what that was. For me, you know, being gay, liking guys, liking boys, I had no idea what that was growing up because it's not something I was exposed to. I was very sheltered as a child. So I wasn't exposed to any of that. And I mean, even going to school, I was like horribly teased. The kids used to call me faggot and queer. And I'm sorry if what I'm saying to you is upsetting or if it doesn't sound politically correct to state that, but that is what happened to me. I had to endure a lot of teasing and a lot of bullying growing up, and I didn't even know what those words meant. Quite honestly, I thought it meant like, "Oh, I'm just a sissy," or "I am young," or "I'm weak," and don't understand anything, and I'm not the same as them. So when people used to call me those things, I didn't understand what those things meant, and it wasn't until I got older, was in high school, and I was in school one day, and I had a friend, and she just flat out blurted out. She says, "Fernando, I don't know why you keep talking about having girlfriends, because you're gay, and you just need to accept that and move on." And at that moment, I was like, no. And, I think around high school, I think Will and Grace was out. So I had a concept of what gay meant, of being different meant, but it didn't really feel like that was me. Which is funny because I could relate to the characters in Will and Grace and some of these other shows, but it didn't feel like that was me. And when she said that, it just was like kind of a punch in the face. Like, why are you trying to be something that you're not? And I never wanted to disappoint anyone. And I never wanted to disappoint my mother. I never wanted to disappoint my grandmother at the time. And everybody was expecting me to be a really nice kid, a nice boy who would grow up, get married, have a wife, have a family, and be a nice kid and a nice person, a good person. And so when I had that experience with my friend, it just totally shook my entire awareness of who I thought I was. And I remember after that conversation going back to my home and laying on the couch and just sitting on the couch for hours and staring at the ceiling, wondering like, what was I going to do? Like, is this true? Is this who I really am? And I think admitting to myself that I was gay was the hardest thing I've ever had to admit to myself, because I had to embrace the idea that I might, because it wasn't so much the part about being gay that was the hard part for me to accept. It was the idea of disappointing other people and being a failure and being seen as a bad person. That's what I think affected me the most. That was the hardest part, because by acknowledging to myself that I was different, it was almost as if I was acknowledging that I was not a good person, and that I was going to be a disappointment to so many people, and that all the hopes and aspirations and dreams that people had for me weren't going to happen, and that I was different and that it was real. And I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be just like everybody else. So I acknowledged it and admitted it to myself. And from then on, I embraced that that's who I was. And that's, I think, the first real spiritual experience that I ever had. And you're probably wondering, well, how does being gay have anything to do with spirituality? Because in the understanding of who I was at my core, those ideas of not being a good person, you're going to go to hell, and this is wrong, and this is against what the Bible says. And acknowledging and understanding that, I didn't feel like this horrible, evil person. I didn't feel like someone who was out to hurt other people, or to cause harm to other people, or to be this evil, individual. That's not who I was, and that's not who I felt like I was. And I wanted to understand how those things that are understood by culture were true, but then what I felt about myself was also true. Like, the two didn't match up. It didn't fit together for me. So I decided that I was no longer going to follow the religious beliefs and the religious practices that I had been taught growing up in a Catholic environment. I decided I was going to go against that and ask God myself, figure out God myself, understand my place in everything myself, because it just did not fit. So at that moment, I turned away from my Catholic faith, and I decided to start to develop a one-on-one with God. Now, I want to say something about this with religion, because a lot of you might be thinking, well, why are you talking so badly about, Christianity or Catholicism? Why are you trying to diss the Bible? I'm not. I actually am not. I believe that religious beliefs are very useful, and they can be very, very empowering in someone's life. I believe that having a faith, and honestly, it doesn't matter what faith you have. You can be Catholic, you can be Buddhist, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be born again Christian. I mean, there's so many different paths to follow to that lead to God. It doesn't matter what road you take, as long as the guidance that you're receiving from spirit, the guidance that you're receiving from your life's experiences, are telling you that you are going down a road that is going to connect you with God, that is going to allow you to feel God in whatever way you wish to feel it. That's all that matters. You can follow the faith of your family. You can follow a different path. It doesn't really matter. It's what you feel most inspired by and connected to. And for me, even to this day, I have such profound and great respect for Catholicism. I have such great respect for the Bible and some of these beliefs and faiths, because I believe it doesn't matter. You can put these shoes on, the shoes of religion, the shoes of these belief systems, and they will help you get to where you want to get to. It's when you are having these belief systems and you wear these shoes that they're too tight and restrictive. That's when you run into some issues, because at that point it's almost as if you're faking the faith. It's almost as if you don't really believe what you're saying. It's almost as if what you follow, what you ascribe to, doesn't feel true for you. That's when I have a problem with it, because if you're going to follow any religious belief, if you're going to follow any path, make sure that you are wholeheartedly 100% connected to that path, that is who you feel yourself, know yourself to be. And in doing that, you will feel God. You will have a significant connection to the divine. For me, it wasn't Catholicism. Even though I have such tremendous respect for the belief system, it isn't who I am, and it isn't representative of everything that I have come to know and learn through my own life's experiences, through my own spiritual exploration. So I spent a lot of time understanding life from different perspectives, from different views, and also asking God myself, show yourself to me through experiences. Teach me what I need to understand, what I need to know, so that I can have a grander connection with you, so that I can help others as well, and be this person I know myself to be this, kind, generous, loving, compassionate person I know myself to be. Help me to find a path that works with that. And I believe I've received that. And I believe I've been able to achieve that myself. And that's what I want you guys to know. Your life is going to be the greatest teacher that you have. You can read a book. You can read thousands of books. You can follow other spiritual teachers and other gurus out there. I mean, you can follow your pastor. You can follow other people who say that they know about God and about the universe and about life. And you may learn some amazing things from those individuals. But what I understand and what I know to be true is that you are your greatest teacher. Your life is your greatest teacher. And there will be no other more significant connection and opportunity to understand and learn than through your own eyes, through your own experiences. Because you've got this right in here, you've got all of this in here that has been granted and given to you by your love of God, your connection to God, to your creator. And you are that which is the creator. You are God in human form. And you are the Jesus of your life. You are the masters that have come before you. And your life is the greatest teacher you have. So let yourself learn, let yourself expand beyond the boundaries and the limitations that you have been conditioned to have. And you will know God, you will see God, you will have that amazing experience that is promised to each and every one of us. So I hope that my personal experience helps you understand how you can have your own personal relationship with Source, with the universe, with God. And I send you guys lots of love. And until next time, okay? Bye-bye.